Welcome to the modern elite. Let's be honest, there's nothing more confusing than when she starts acting distant. You've been used to her warmth, her laughter, the way she made your world feel lighter, and suddenly it's like she's a stranger. You scroll through your phone, replaying every conversation, every smile, every moment you thought mattered, wondering what went wrong. And yet the truth is, what you're feeling right now is exactly the proof you're looking for, because here's what most men will never understand. When a woman withdraws, when she goes quiet, when she seems cold, it doesn't mean she's lost interest, far from it. The reality is brutal, but it's a reality that can save you from endless confusion if you're willing to see it. That distance, that coldness is her mind spinning. It's her emotions circling back to you over and over, even when she tries not to let them show. Think about it. When someone truly forgets you, their life moves forward with a lightness you can't manufacture. But when she's pulling away, when she's distant, the brain isn't quiet. She's analyzing, remembering, replaying every interaction. She's asking herself the questions you can't hear. Does he really see me? Does he care? Why did I feel that way when he said that? And every time she does, a tiny spark of thought lands back on you. You might feel frustration, like she's punishing you or testing you. And in some ways, that's exactly what's happening. Women operate on a deeply emotional logic that men rarely see coming. Coldness is never empty, it's charged. It's a magnetic energy pulling her attention back to the source, you. Her silence is a stage, her distance is a signal, and every time she hesitates to reach out, it's because she's wrestling with thoughts she can't control, thoughts about you. Here's the key most men completely miss. She doesn't want to feel this way. She doesn't want to obsess, she doesn't want to chase, but she can't help it. The stronger her emotions for you, the more her mind fights against itself. That's why distance and coldness are often the strongest signs that someone is thinking about you non-stop. It's like a hidden pulse you can't see, but it exists and it's centered entirely on you. So before you panic, before you assume rejection, you need to reframe your thinking. Her coldness is not a brick wall, it's a mirror reflecting her internal struggle. The confusion you feel, the anxiety, the urge to reach out, she feels too, but from the opposite angle. While you're wondering if she's slipping away, she's wondering if she should even show how much she cares, because vulnerability scares her just as much as it excites her. And this is where you gain an edge. Understanding her internal conflict gives you power, not power to manipulate, but the power to see reality as it is and act with calm intelligence instead of panic. You start to notice subtle signals, the way her eyes linger, the tone in her voice when she finally speaks, the small, almost invisible ways she circles back to you. These are breadcrumbs she leaves unconsciously, each one screaming without saying a word. You're on my mind always, because here's the truth. Coldness is not distance from you, it's distance from her own fear of vulnerability. And every time she pulls back, her thoughts are dragging her right back toward you, whether she admits it or not. The moments when she ignores your messages or takes a terse, even data reply aren't the absence of feeling, they're proof of something far more intense than casual interest. It's a struggle between what her heart wants and what her mind is trying to protect. She's playing a game she didn't plan to play again, between desire and fear. And every time she hesitates, every time she holds back, it's because you're still occupying space in her mind louder than she's willing to admit. Here's the thing most men don't see. Distance is not emptiness. Distance is concentration. While you're replaying every cold interaction, she's doing the exact same thing, but from the inside out. She's analyzing, second-guessing, imagining scenarios where she could be closer to you, or scenarios where she loses control of herself. And here's the catch. Her resistance doesn't mean she's losing interest. It means she's aware that her emotions for you are too strong to manage easily. Notice the patterns, because they never lie. She disappears when the intensity of her feeling spikes. She's trying to hide it from herself, trying to keep a sense of control, but her mind keeps circling back to you. That random comment she liked hours later, that small smile when your paths cross, the way she remembers something you said weeks ago, are all evidence, subtle, quiet, invisible evidence. Yet, if you pay attention, they scream louder than any declaration of love. And here's the part most men fail to grasp. Obsession isn't loud. True emotional obsession is silent, invisible. She won't tell you, she won't announce it, and sometimes she won't even allow herself to admit it. But her behavior betrays her. Little slips, glances that last a second too long, sudden shifts in tone when you speak, even the way she pulls back just to think about you, are all breadcrumbs leading to one undeniable truth. You occupy her thoughts more than she can resist. Men often misinterpret coldness as rejection. They panic, they overanalyze, they chase you, and in doing so, they push her further away. But here's the paradox. The less you react, the calmer you remain, the more she comes back to you mentally. Her mind starts playing a private reel starring you in every frame. Every moment of silence, every pause only deepens her awareness that she can't stop thinking about you. And that internal tension, that quiet mental tug of war, is exactly where attraction lives. You need to understand this at a cellular level. Her coldness is not a wall, it's a signal flare. It's her brain saying without permission, he's here, he's important, I can't forget him. And because she's wrestling with herself, the signs are never straightforward. You have to read between the lines, interpret the invisible, feel what she won't say. When you do, the truth becomes undeniable. Every distant act is a proof point that she is thinking about you nonstop. And this is where you step in, not as is trying to force closeness, but as someone who understands her mind better than she does herself. Because when a woman acts cold yet obsesses internally, the man who recognizes the signals and stays steady becomes unforgettable. You don't have to chase, you don't have to explain. You just need to see what's hidden in plain sight. Her heart is pulling her toward you. Even when she's trying to resist, her coldness is the loudest declaration of all. You just have to be quiet enough to hear it. If you think distance means indifference, you're missing the biggest signal she's sending. Women don't just act cold for no reason. Every subtle glance, every brief touch, every word she holds back is like a fingerprint left behind for those who know how to read it. And right now, you need to learn to read it, because what she's really doing is revealing her mind, and that mind is on you constantly. Pay attention to the smallest things. The way she texts you, okay, instead of a full response, but then scrolls your profile minutes later. The way she seems aloof in front of others, yet when it's just the two of you, her body language softens. The tiny shifts in tone when she finally speaks, careful, almost rehearsed. These aren't random behaviors, these are cracks in her armor, each one a silent confession that you're not just in her thoughts, you dominate them. Here's what most men don't realize. Women are wired to process emotion before action. That means she might act distant today, but internally she's replaying your interactions in vivid detail. She's imagining scenarios where she laughs at your jokes, where she leans into your touch, where she admits to feeling she's too scared to voice. And the longer she hesitates, the deeper these thoughts spiral. That's the paradox of her coldness. It's not a rejection, it's evidence of obsession you can't see, but can feel if you know where to look. Notice how she reacts when she thinks you're not watching. Does her expression soften when she catches a glimpse of you? Does she unconsciously mimic your gestures or repeat phrases you've said? These micro signals are her mind betraying her. They're involuntary proof that despite the distance, she's thinking about you nonstop. And every time she pulls away, it's almost like she's giving herself a moment to process the intensity she can't control. This is where men often make the critical mistake. They try to fill the silence with calls, texts, or attempts to fix the distance. But here's the brutal truth over. Communicating pushes her away. Her mind needs space to wrestle with the thoughts of you. The more calm and grounded you remain, the more she circles back mentally. You become the constant she can't escape, the invisible gravity she's fighting against. You also need to recognize her emotional contradictions. She may act cold one day and warm the next. She may seem indifferent in one conversation, but linger in her thoughts on the memory of a single compliment or laugh. These contradictions are not confusion, they're obsession trying to regulate itself. And while her conscious mind says, I need space, her subconscious is screaming, he's the one I can't stop thinking about. Every time she resists, every time she hesitates, it strengthens the magnetic pull. Distance is not the absence of thought, it amplifies it. The coldness is the proof that her mind is occupied, cycling through memories, possibilities, and scenarios that always lead back to you. If you learn to see this pattern, you stop misreading signals as rejection. You understand the paradox. The more she withdraws, the more her mind revolves around you. And once you grasp this, you stop chasing her emotionally and start watching her actions betray her deepest thoughts, proof that despite appearances, she can't stop thinking about you. Her coldness isn't random and it isn't meaningless. Every pullback, every silent pause, every hesitation carries a weight you're missing if you don't know how to read it. Women act distant when something inside them spikes fear, desire, confusion, or all three at once. And the truth is, these triggers are almost always about you. She's thinking about you more than she lets on, and the very act of resisting only proves it. Understand this, when a woman distances herself, her mind is in overdrive. She's running calculations you'll never hear aloud. Does he like me enough? Am I overthinking this? Should I show I care or hide it? These questions cycle endlessly, and you, whether you realize it or not, are the center of the storm. Her silence, her cold shoulder is of her mental obsession. She's trying to master her feelings, but in reality, those feelings have already mastered her. Now notice the triggers that make her cold. Often it's moments when your attention feels unavailable. When you live your life with confidence, pursue your goals, and remain emotionally steady, she feels it. It hits her subconscious like a shockwave. Your independence challenges her and her mind reacts. She pulls back, questions herself, and obsessively analyzes your behavior. She may act indifferent, but this is exactly when she's thinking about you nonstop, imagining your reactions, replaying interactions, even constructing scenarios where she reveals her emotions and tests your response. Another trigger is emotional intensity. When your interactions carry depth, when a joke lands just right, or when a meaningful glance crosses between you, her mind can't process it logically. She steps back to regain control. But every step back is evidence of her mental loop. Distance in her mind is a tool to contain the intensity she feels. Yet the paradox is cruel. The more she pulls away, the more she dwells on you. Her thoughts become a private stage where you are the lead, even if her lips refuse to say it. Pay attention to the subtle signals during these moments. She may avoid eye contact, but she checks on you from across the room. She may brush off your text, yet notices the tiniest details about your life. She may act composed. Her breathing, the quick glance over her shoulder, all betray her focus. Every micro behavior is proof that no matter how cold she appears, you are present in her mind constantly. Here's the secret most men never catch. Emotional resistance amplifies mental obsession. Her coldness isn't absence, cites proof. The fact that she hesitates, questions, and restrains herself shows she cares more than words could ever reveal. She can't stop thinking about you, even when her actions try to convince you otherwise. And the more you remain calm, observant, and patient, the stronger the magnetic pull becomes. Distance, coldness, hesitation, these aren't signs of fading interest. They're proof of obsession, proof that she's wrestling with thoughts of you every waking moment. Every silent pause, every cold glance, every small act of avoidance is a breadcrumb. Follow them carefully and you'll see the undeniable truth. She's thinking about you nonstop. The truth most men never understand is that her distance is rarely about you. It's about her own mind spinning in loops you can barely imagine. Women have an emotional radar that never shuts off. And when she cares, when she's drawn to you, that radar traps her in a cycle of thoughts, doubts, and scenario, all starring you. Her coldness is the tip of the iceberg. The hidden weight beneath it is an obsession that grows every time she pulls away. Think about it like this. Her brain creates a private mental reel of every interaction, every laugh, every compliment, every subtle touch. She replays them, analyzes them, overanalyzes them, and while she's distancing herself outwardly, inwardly, she's trapped in a storm where every scene ends with you. The more she tries to regain control, the more she circles back to you. It's unconscious, it's relentless, and it's happening even when she tells herself she needs space. Here's the part men rarely see. The coldness you experience is a defense mechanism. Her mind knows that letting herself feel too much could make her vulnerable, but vulnerability is exactly what your presence triggers, and the paradox is brutal. The more she resists emotionally, the more her thoughts fixate. Every pause, every hesitation, every moment of silence strengthens the internal narrative that you matter, that you are unavoidable, that she cannot stop thinking about you. Notice the patterns of emotional escalation. One day she seems cold, distant, untouchable, but then a small stimulus text, a comment you make, a shared memory pulls her back. Suddenly, her internal loop spins faster. She imagines your reactions, weighs possibilities, and mentally rehearses moments where she allows herself to be closer. These loops are invisible to the casual observer, but they're proof. Her distance is not disinterest, it's obsession manifesting quietly, and it gets sharper. When she sees other people, interacts with friends, or experiences moments outside your connection, her mind still returns to you. She compares interactions, measures significance, wonders how you would react, and feels small flashes of regret or longing. All of this happens beneath the surface. Every cold text, every delayed reply, every hesitation is her subconscious wrestling with you, proof that she's thinking about you nonstop. Here's the psychological truth few men understand. Obsession doesn't require proximity, it thrives in absence. The more she acts distant, the more her brain creates space to focus on you. Your presence is magnified in her thoughts because her emotional and rational mind are in conflict, and that conflict produces the very behaviors that confuse men: coldness, silence, and withdrawal. If you watch closely, you'll notice patterns. She retreats when feelings spike, then circles back when she recalibrates. She hides her obsession behind cool detachment, but no matter how perfectly she masks it, the mental loops betray her. She can't escape you because every thought, every scenario, every imagined interaction centers on you. Her distance isn't absence. Her coldness isn't rejection. It's proof. Proof that her mind is occupied, her emotions are racing, and that she can't stop thinking about you even when it seems like she's trying. Understanding her distance isn't just about noticing behavior, it's about reading the invisible signs of her mind. Every cold message, every hesitation, every subtle avoidance is proof of something men rarely see. She's thinking about you nonstop, and once you internalize this, you stop chasing confusion and start seeing clarity in her obsession. You need to recognize the invisible choreography of her thoughts. When she pulls away, her mind is circling you like a storm. She imagines scenarios, debates her feelings, replays memories, and weighs every tiny interaction. And the quieter she seems, the louder this mental activity becomes. The more detached she acts, the more she's secretly consumed by the question, how do I stop thinking about him, and why don't I want to? Her coldness is the evidence. This is where many men fail. They see distance and panic. They overreach, overextort, push for explanations. But here's the truth. Overreacting doesn't pull her closer, forces her to tighten the mental loop around you. Your calm presence, your grounded confidence allows her mind to spin freely. And in that freedom, she thinks about you more. Every second of composure on your end increases the magnetic pull she cannot resist. Notice the subtle signs in her actions, the fleeting glance that lingers too long, the faint smile when your name comes up, the way she suddenly remembers a shared joke or detail. These micro moments are proof she is engaged mentally with you. She may hide it in words or in deliberate silence, but her subconscious tells the story loud and clear. You are on her mind constantly, unavoidably, and here's the psychological pivot most men overlook. When a woman obsesses silently, it isn't weakness, it's intensity. She's fighting her own emotional gravity. Distance doesn't mean she's lost, it means she's trying to manage feelings she can't control. The more you understand this, the more you can interpret her coldness correctly, not as rejection, but as a spotlight illuminating her obsession. So what do you do with this truth? You observe, you stay grounded, and you let her actions reveal the reality. Stop assuming the worst, stop overanalyzing every text. Instead, focus on the subtle proof she leaves everywhere. Lingering glances, delayed replies that still carry thoughtfulness, tiny gestures that hint at her attention. These are breadcrumbs she leaves unconsciously, evidence of a mind occupied entirely by you. And finally, here's what separates men who remain lost in confusion from men who understand female psychology, recognizing the paradox. Her coldness is attraction, her distance is proof, her silence is obsession. She may never admit it outright, but the signs are there, screaming in every micro-expression and every calculated pause. When you see this clearly, you stop chasing, you stop doubting, you understand the powerful silent truth. She can't stop thinking about you. Now here's a question for you. Pay attention and answer honestly in the comments. If her silence pulls her thoughts to you 7 times a day and her smiles hint at hidden attention 3 times a day, how many invisible proof points is she leaving you in a week? Comment your answer, hit like if this opened your eyes, subscribe for more truths you weren't supposed to know, and share this with a friend who needs to see